We didn't have the QA team. I had to build a test plan and test scripts myself. The expected outcome, of course, did this test or gave it to the business users for the user acceptance test as a guide for them to test the system features. So I was also involved in testing, and I'm also involved at the code and development phase because, sometimes you see the developers develop, build, and tell you they've done their unit test is working. You take it to validation and
Welcome to the Project Management Experience, where we share real life experiences about project managers and how they are doing simply amazing in the project management domain. Today we have on episode 6 an interesting personality. Today is not your regular project manager guest. Today we have a business analyst who has been working in the IT space for quite a long time, over 10 years. We have on today's episode Ndu, and I can't wait for you to delve in. Let's jump in. Right, welcome Ndu. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today on today's episode of the Project Management Experience, where we love to share real life experiences on what project managers and some of the stakeholders have been doing in the project management space. Now, today we have a very exceptional guest, not your regular project manager. We have here on our session a business analyst who has quite an extensive experience in business analysis as well as working in the information technology space. And she's going to be sharing with us some of her experiences with working with PMs, how the role of a business analyst integrates into project management, and maybe give us some tips and tricks on how to work with BAs better, right? Thank you so much, Ndu, for joining us today.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for having me here.
All right. So first things first, the introductions. Tell us a little bit about you. Who is Ndu? What do you do? And how long have you been in this space?
Okay, my name is Ndubuaku Chigioke-Ugwu. I've been in this BA space for over a decade and spent most of my experiences in the banking industry. From there, I moved to the telecommunications industry, and then here I now work in the education industry. So I've had to work with different customers and users with very broad customer spectrum, understanding their requirements to some specific projects and making sure that we deliver, of course, in collaboration with the PM, the testers, and other stakeholders within the project. It's been an exciting journey, and having to understand that what works in this environment may not work in another industry. And so it's about learning and evolving and moving with everyone to make sure that we deliver value and quality at the end of every project phase.
All right. Thank you so much, Undo, for sharing that very, very important value. Value. I'm sure that a lot of people do not understand the importance of value in project management, but I'm so excited that we have really someone different, someone that can speak about project management from a different lens. So, thank you again. And my first question is, as a business analyst, what are some of the important roles and activities you engage in, and how does it integrate with projects, working with the project management team or with the developers and all the different, what are the key activities that you engage in?
Okay, the key activities I engage in is basically eliciting requirements, getting to understand the stakeholders. You keep asking questions, At times you have people call you questionnaire like you're asking too much. They're like, why do you want this? Why are we changing this? What's wrong with what we're currently using? It's about understanding the why a project is being initiated and what they tend to achieve by embarking on that project. And then another key activity I do is elicitation. After the elicitation, I mean documentation of this elicited needs, having to interpret it in a way that a layman can pick up and understand. So I need to understand their goals, objectives, their purposes, write it in such a way that the developer that is going to work on it picks it up. So in this case, I get to work on both functional, technical, non-functional documents. You do a lot of documentation. You talk of mind mapping documents, you talk of diagrams and flow charts and, putting all these pieces of information together that when the PM also picks it up, he gets to like, okay, this is what we're working on. This is what needs to be achieved, defining business rules, integration points and dependencies and all that. There's a whole lot of chunk I get to do. And then most times I also get to manage these business users' expectations because at times we have risk, we have delays, getting to build a mutual working relationship with them. You don't take them by surprises. I can't come tomorrow and tell you, oh, we can't deliver this anymore because of the close collaboration I have with them. If something was going to delay, they will know from onset because everyone will be on the same page and get updates, periodic updates on what we're working on. So I get to gather the requirements, document them, talk to the manage the stakeholders collaboration, do some risk analysis, do some post deployment evaluation and a whole lot. And with that I also work with the project managers because they get to manage the budget, the schedule, the resources and the day-to-day task. If it's an agile environment, you talk of the daily stand-ups, so they get to manage that. But a bulk of what they need to get work to work, I have to present them that document to get started.
I feel like I'm already a business analyst with the very brief introduction you gave. Really, thank you so much, Ndu. For viewers out there, please do not get tempted to divert into the role of a business analyst with Ndu's between this explanation, but thank you so much. That was really elaborate. So one of the key things I would love to hear, I see that you really do a lot of work with stakeholders, working with the testers, the developers to ensure that, of course, the project is well implemented, and of course fit for use, because quality of course is a very key element of ensuring that your projects are successfully implemented. So one key question is, how does your role now integrate with PM? How do you work together with the PM? Are there times where you experience a clash with the manager's work? Are there times where both of you have to align together? Because if you speak to some project managers, they'll tell you, "Oh, I gather requirements too. Oh, I work with a BA in, you know, outlining and getting those requirements together." Are there instances where there is a clash, or how do you really align with the PM and ensure that you're working hand in hand?
Yes, there's been instances in the past where I've had clash with my PMs, and most times it's got to do with roles and responsibilities where
Mm-hmm.
it's not clearly defined, or where the line is not maybe drawn to say explicitly this is what is expected of you. There are certain things you expect the PM to do, like just don't stop at the daily stand-ups and then wait till tomorrow for the next stand-up. You're meant to like check with these developers for their impediments after the
Mm-hmm.
stand-ups to know what's going on and how you can provide support or help. Yeah, it's not just to hold the meeting and go, and then some specific things that needs to do. Maybe if we had to adjust the deadline, or maybe we're having like a requirement script, because I've worked in both agile and waterfall environment. In waterfall, requirements management is better off because we know there is a change document, you have to wait, we have to go through approvals. But for agile, we tell you the trade-off. We either move this to the next sprint. This is the impact it's going to have on the current sprint. Do you want it? And then you give the business what they want as they've defined as value. So in this case, I've had instances where the PM feels, oh, it's your business, just sort it out. And you're like, okay, this is a dependencies. We can't deliver this without this other requirement coming first because this has to be with like DB setup integrations. And it's like, I don't know, this is the sprint and we must deliver based on the objective. So you had issue with the flexibility one, defining roles, and some feeling, look, I call the shots here, you are in your space, just do what you have to do. And to manage that for my PM, I get to set up a weekly one-on-one, catch up with my PM, and then we get to talk. Like, this is what I'm observing. If we go in this trajectory, I foresee that we may have a problem when we get to this. And gracefully, some PMs I've had, they're very cool-headed and good, great colleagues as well. They get to reason with you. So how do we work around it? We'll find a way, take it back to the project team, and then tell the developers this is what we would be doing, or we're going to be reverting a bit. And the most important thing is that it's still the same project goal that everyone is still focused on. We still have the same interest on delivering that piece of work and value at the end of the day. So for such, I've managed it by having separate sessions, bringing down my concerns to these BAs, building an environment of trust and open continuous communication, because when you trust me that we're on the same page, it's not about who is on the spotlight, who is getting the accolades or not. It's not even about that. It's about how do we collaborate to deliver this project at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's my experience with that.
Awesome. It seems like you have really, really strong stakeholder management skills. I've worked with you anyway, Undu, so I know that you definitely have that. And then your interpersonal skills are top notch. So
Thank
one key
you.
thing for project managers out there, please. Number one, your job is not just to, go there and elucidate and say, oh, we have this issue and report it. Because I've worked in environments where the you have like a, I don't know, underlying current between the IT team and the project management team, just because they see the project management as a team that is focused on causing trouble. Get the reports, push it to the management and say, oh, the IT team is delaying the work. Oh, the IT team hasn't met the sprint goal. Oh, the IT team hasn't, fixed this bug. But what are you doing as a project manager to, of course, ensure that you are helping them clear those impediments? That is so critical for you as a project manager. And that's how they become your friend. So one key thing I got from this is ensure that you are helping to clear those issues even prior to the next, sprint ceremony. And the second thing is the definition of roles and responsibilities from the onset of your project. Have a RACI. A RACI chart is very helpful from the beginning. Everyone knows what each person is doing and what each person is responsible for. So thank you so much, Yundu, for sharing that very, very important feedback. Another thing I really would love to hear from you is where do you get involved, like aside the requirement stage where you're doing the requirements and scoping, getting the information from the users or from the stakeholders and all, where else do you get involved in the project? Where do you fully utilize your skills? Will it be in the build? Will it be in testing? Will it be in getting mock-ups from the developers? Where else do you really fully get involved?
Well, as a BA, you're just involved even after deployment, because you're just there from onset, from the project initiation and planning phase. After that, you do the elicitation. You're best off, I'm also best off, let me talk for myself, to work with the testers and ensure that whatever test plan and test script written aligns with what you have elicited, because nobody understands it better than you that documented it. There have been instances where I've been in an environment where there were no testers. We didn't have the QA team. I had to build a test plan and test scripts myself. The expected outcome, of course, did this test or gave it to the business users for the user acceptance test as a guide for them to test the system features. So I was also involved in testing, and I'm also involved at the code and development phase, because, sometimes you see the developers build, and tell you they've done their unit test is working. You take it to validation environment. Either you're doing it yourself or you're coordinating a team to do it. And then on the validation environment is not working. They tell you, but it's working on my environment. So you're also doing coordinating both unit tests, the function. functional test. And then after the deployments, you're doing the smoke test and the regression test to make sure that an update did not break something else in the system. There's a whole lot of testing back and forth. And when you feel satisfied with it, you tell the business to go ahead and test with the script you've given them. At times we do a controlled user acceptance test where we all share screen and do, or they just test and get back to you at the end of the day. Then you plan for deployments and move to production. So you're going to write out, I get to document the steps and what type of approach to deployment we have. Do we go on controlled pilot, or do we do a complete cutover or parallel system runs? You talk of the training materials that the users will be using. You must have sent out communication before time to get them know that a new system is coming or you're bringing about a change. Of course, people resist changes. So you're not talking, I'm talking beyond the specific stakeholders you've been working with all along. You're not talking to a bigger number of people that will be using the system at the end of the day. You need to calm their fears, give them documents and materials to work with. And after deployment, you're still the touch point with the business. You have to make sure that you, the BA and the project team, train the support desk to manage this solution. You have to have a hand holding session with them till they have a comfort level of doing it standalone. And then before you move on to other things. And then for enhancements, you're back there again. And after 6 months, you are doing assessment and post deployment review. Are they really getting value based on what was defined as value from the onset of the business? You go take system logs. How many people have even used this system? What profit has your team generated from the onset of this new solution? Then before you're done with that, you're getting some requirements again, or some notification from the business telling you, we want this to now jump 5 feet. It was not jumping before. In fact, we want it to sneeze and cough at the same time. The
You
whole
want a
process,
dancing graph.
whole thing continues. So as a BA, you're just involved throughout the whole product life cycle until that product is terminated and maybe taken off the shelf. So you may be done with the project phase, and then there will be need for enhancement or mitigating a risk. And once it has to do with development, you are back on the board, picking it up from where you stopped.
Awesome. Thank you so much, BA, for sharing that experience with us from end to end. Truth be told, I've worked with a lot of BAs, and a lot of times their work stops when we get to go live, or most, I would say, just after testing. A lot of times, once we've gone live, the BAs just go to sleep. So you then talking about what happens even post deployment, post go live, during cutover, a lot of that work in most of my experience with respect to whether we're doing parallel or whether we're doing a full cutover is being handled by the project manager alongside the quality team. And so this is really new for me. Really, I'm really happy to hear from you on this specific, process under. And I must say that whatever organization you're working in currently is very, very lucky to have you. Thank you so much, Unde, for sharing that. I'm serious. I'm
Really?
not joking. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. When you have an environment where the project manager is not a technical person, it's
Mm.
different. Especially when you have to deploy solutions, all those database requirements. When are we going to do when are we going to do what do you call this database terminology of taking a backup now? I've forgotten the word. When are we going to get the data? Do we do a change freeze that is stop working till the cutover is complete and all that? So it's different when the project manager, I've worked with project managers that had a technical background and those that did not have. For those that didn't have a technical background, it's always a bit more difficult working with them because they just go by what you document, what is on the board. You're telling, just get it done. We have a deadline to meet. We're not paying extra for this. And you're trying to tell them, if you cut over, this is the risk with this. We need to mitigate this first. So it depends on who you have there. If they understand it, you can still partner with them to make sure these things go well because it still impacts your testing and user experience at the end of the day. So it depends
Mm.
on
Thank you
the
so much for
background
that
of
valuable
it.
information. So, what I hear is that having a technical background is definitely an advantage. So, are you asking for all PMs now to ensure that they get some IT and technical skill sets?
No, no, not it. It will help them not to get the full knowledge, but at least show interest in learning. It wouldn't harm to go read up anything. If it, like for now, most projects are being deployed to the cloud. You hear of Azure, you keep hearing
Mm-hmm.
of Microsoft Azure, Microsoft this. I mean, if you pick up a page
AWS.
and read up on that, it gives you an idea of what
Mm-hmm.
this Azure and AWS, and they tell you they need to expand the storage. We need this. It makes sense to you. You just don't say,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, that's not my own. All I know, my call. All I know is by tomorrow we must deliver this sprint." And so, if there are challenges, you understand what they are talking about. When project managers coordinate and they have good interrelational skills, it goes a long way. And if you have those that have techie background, understand some of these terminologies, and then interested in also working, it makes a huge difference in the team.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to let you go. Um, but this has really been very exciting and enlightening for me. So, the last question is, what is that? I know you've already given so much advice in terms of, ensuring that PMs are taking off the impediments, ensuring that they have roles and responsibilities, getting a technical back, at least understand what you're deploying, have the knowledge. And then the other bit is, I don't know, just one final advice. What is that final advice that you have for PMs out there to make your work easier as a business analyst?
So all dear PMs out there, we're working towards the same goal. We're not having a tussle on who is doing this or who is in charge or who is not doing it. Let's collaborate together. If you get involved with the planning phase, it helps a whole lot. If we do a lot of needs assessments together, it helps you also know when we are deviating or when the PM is the business analyst is moving
It's
away from track, or just have an understanding of the overall project. Don't wait for documents to be handed to you. Get involved from onset. It helps us work better. Have an open mind for communication. Trust your BAs and do all those review and assessment together as well. And you'll be happy that we all have the same value at the end of the day and the business is happy, which is the overall objective. And the solution is fit for use and purpose, like Cindy mentioned earlier. Thank you.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Indu. Thank you. Really appreciate it. So, over to you, PMs. Please ensure you are collaborating more, get more involved. Don't just wait for the workflows and the plan, the VCO, and all that charts to be handed over to you. Get involved, be there, so that you have full knowledge as well, and you can also support the business analyst in doing their job. It was really lovely talking to you, Undu. Thank you so much. I hope we can have you again some other time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel like giving you hugs right now.
Thank you,
But thank you
Cindy.
so much.
All
Have an
right, bye for
amazing one.
now. You
All
too,
right,
bye.
bye.
Yeah.